always happy to be a part of the Digital Hollywood Content Summit and going to be taking this, this panel or this day with the crew to New York next month. I think it's because as an entertainment lawyer and as a producer, an executive producer, we're always looking for money. The keynote this morning started out by saying crowdsourcing is begging. That's it. Let's not put a fancy term on it unless you really need to and it looks better in your presentation materials. Until the SEC shuts us down, though, by God, let's go get all those collaborating investors, give us $10 a pop, and you gather 100,000 of them, and you're going to make some money. Almost the story that a couple of these guys get to tell us today. I didn't get to mention this IFAW product when I introduced the keynote this morning, but I stumbled upon it yesterday and kept the streaming running and got to see Brian Seth Hurst, a familiar face in these summits, and I hope I see him today because I want to tell him he looks much better in person. And maybe he'll return the compliment to me today. I'm going to put this in my office. This is just a very simple, cool-looking desktop solution, and I feel like I'm the last to learn about them, so I'm glad you guys are here. We've got a couple of videos from these guys. I'm not going to be talking much at all after I shut up, and I know that's sad for me, but you'll probably all be better off for it. Why don't we start with, let's start with something every one of you have done. How many people have an iPhone? Can I see that? How many people have Apple products in their house? How many people have Apple products on their person right now? How many people have woken up in the morning and said, oh, this is what my Apple product needs. I got a great idea for this thing. Come on, come on, come on. You're lying. If you don't have your hand up in the air, I don't think you're being truthful to yourself. We've all had these ideas. And then we build them into some magnanimously huge, we just overcome it. By the time we're downstairs having breakfast, we let it go to somebody else. That's all I'm going to say. That's the only setup we have for this app developer who and designer who realized, simple is best, and using other people's money is even smarter. So, Dotan, why don't you take it over? And got a couple of videos. We'll let you he'll walk you through his Kickstarter projects, and we'll go from there. Sure. Pause button 1 second. We knew he would be here before the first video rolled. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Hamilton is joining us. Scott, good morning. Good to see you. Okay, Dotan. Go ahead.
Do you want to start with the video?
Well, you tell us. Tell us what the company is and what you do, and then let's watch a video.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm an app designer. I work. I've got about 12 apps in the App Store, and I was just happy with that business, just designing them and having other people develop them. And this idea came along, and this is something that I use. I found myself using the prototype with every day. And so I decided to actually make it into a product. I had never made a hardware product before, so this was the first for me, not just as a Kickstarter project, but also to make hardware, physical objects that don't just require downloads. And so I think we could show the video and you'll get an idea of what it is right away. Hey Kickstarters, my name is Dotan. I make apps for a living, and this is the Smarter Stand for iPad. Like many ideas, this kind of came out of nowhere. I was just having breakfast, trying to prop up my iPad against a jar of jelly, and it just kept sliding like that. That's when the idea came up that if I could just isolate some of these folds in the cover, that would do the trick. That's why I created the Smarter Stand. It's those two clips, and after a lot of prototypes, we arrived to this design for the clips. This is an old design, by the way. So the original positions of the smart cover is a typing position. This is great to type with, but for anything else, it's too low. I have to peer over it. There's a 80-degree position. It's way too high. What I really need is something like that, but it doesn't do that. None until now. No added weight, no bulk. You can always keep it on, so you always have it with you. And this is what I love about this product. So simple, yet so useful. This really has changed how I use my iPad. back this project and you'll get yours. You'll love it. You'll use it every day just like I have. That came out in June, early June of this year, and the project ran from like June 13th through August 13th for 60 days.
The Kickstarter campaign.
Right, and so it collected 157,000, 8,200 backers, which I now am fulfilling. So this is where the tough part begins.
Right.
But
it looks like you exceeded your goal.
By 15 times or something like that.
How just that 10 grand? What was that for? And
well, so with a product like this, we're talking about all the product is those two clips here, and there's this pad in the back that gets stuck to the iPad in the back of the iPad. So it's really not hard to make. Theoretically, I really didn't need Kickstarter, but I figured if I can, Kickstarter can help me tool the product, get feedback from people, and also sell a bunch of the product as well, all in one shot in 60 days. I don't know any other form of funding that can do that. You know, you can go and I've raised money for companies before. You can raise the money. You still need to sell the product, and you're not getting much feedback in the meantime. So this is kind of killing 3 birds in 1 stone. And that's why I decided to take it to Kickstarter.
Did every contributor get a set of Smarter Stands?
Not yet. So,
no, I mean, that was
yes.
Every category included
pretty much.
The price.
Yes, everybody got. Yeah, it started at $9 with the early bird special, so it's really a low. It's kind of silly to put like a. Some people put like a $5 just contribute, to be a benefactor.
Right.
This you might as well get the product because that's about how much it costs. Right. So, yeah. So that's
excellent. So there's every time people. There's going to be a lot of questions, and I think for all of you guys, and you've all had shared experiences, so let's hold off on those for a minute. Do you want to do the other one now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not enough. What were you eating this time?
So this one, I don't have as good a story as to how it came up because it just sort of popped into my mind.
In the spirit of the day, though, after you guys see the video, knowing he's got to start talking about it, come up to him and give him some suggestions. Make up the, just give him a spin.
So before you start the video, this is a product that is not on Kickstarter yet, but it should be on there soon. So it's a second product that I've been basically fine-tuning a prototype for while the first one was already on Kickstarter. It's also iPad related. It's also smart cover related. So same audience.
It's the world premiere.
So nobody's seen this video before, and I've got the prototype here if you want to see it after this.
Go ahead. You can lock the doors now. Okay. Go ahead.
Hello again, Kickstarters. My name is Dotan. In June, I released the Smarter Stand for iPad. It's a huge hit. 8,200 backers, thanks to all who did. And this is my new product, the Smart Cargo for iPad. What I love about the iPad is that it's sleek and portable. The problem is that in real life, I have to bring a lot of stuff along with it. So we've gone from this to that. Not so sleek anymore. That's where the Smart Cargo comes in. I love how this feels in your hand. It just serves as a perfect grip. This is kind of the way I would have loved to carry my iPad. It snaps onto the smart cover magnetically. You can carry it anywhere and it's not falling off. It really saves time because I don't have to think twice. I can just roll up the smart cover and the smart cover will just roll up into a stand just as it normally does. It protects my stuff much better than a bag. This is much stronger. This is aircraft-grade aluminum. And it's much lighter, too. It's compatible with the Apple Smart Cover, the Apple Smart Case, even my previous product, the Smarter Stand for iPad. I find myself using my iPad more than ever now. It's always ready to go. Everything's in it. This is just my sleek iPad the way it was, with the Smart Cargo on it. If you back this project, not only will you get yours, but you'll help the project become a reality faster. I've already started the tooling for this product, but soon I'm going to have a big payment to make to the factory, and your backing will help. Every pledge helps. Begging.
right,
It's
so
here if you
you're
wanna see it.
building that page now, so I'm sure we'll get some comments about what they
Yep.
That is awesome. Thank you. All right, let's just head right down the road here. Scott's a filmmaker. We've had some previous some questions in the keynote session from content creators, and I love this story because you were already in festivals. You finished it; it's done, and yet you resort to Kickstarter. I think that's brilliant. So, Scott, tell us a little bit about the story and set up the video.
Can I start with a question and ask what you did with the $158,000? Just as a,
I tooled the second product.
Nicely done. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late. So the question is, why use Kickstarter?
Well, no. The question is, what's your story on Kickstarter? Because you're a filmmaker who was done. And
Sure.
You came after the fact. And,
Sure.
But it really worked.
So we finished Fame High, had our world premiere of Fame High at the Tribeca Film Festival in April, and followed it up with Silver Docs. Does everybody know Silver Docs in D.C.? Great doc festival. If you guys don't know, it's a really wonderful festival outside of D.C. in Silver Springs, Maryland. And the response we got, the audience response we got to the film was so wonderful that we really wanted to look into doing a theatrical release for the film. And part of that marketing process was what I'd done on my two previous films, were qualifying them for Oscar consideration. My first film was shortlisted, and the second film we were lucky enough to get nominated. So we thought, how are we going to do that? And we thought of doing a Kickstarter campaign to get that started. So that was really the seed for this. And in my Kickstarter video, you won't hear me mention, and I will not suffer you through my Kickstarter video. It's fine, but you can see it on the web if you really have the desire. I don't mention that it is for Oscar consideration because there's some balance about, do you put that out there or do you just get the consideration and get it qualified and then come back later. That was our whole plan, and that's what I talk about in the video, that we were going to have our initial theatrical release, which would have been the qualifying, and then come back hopefully in 2013 with a larger theatrical release, which is why I probably will be on Kickstarter again in about a month. So that was the starting point. It was my first experience with it. I had an advisor, Sarah Keener from New York City, and I'm going to forget the name of her company, but I can get that for you, to help me through this process. I had no idea how epic a process. It was a full-time job for about 2 weeks before, and then all the way through the process. We did have some good media to use for the Kickstarter campaign with footage that I shot at these festivals. I did the classic interviewing people after the screening to tell me what they thought of the film, so we could do what they call an audience appreciation clip. I had one of the characters' mothers in a Q&A. She was singing and the main character dancing during a Q&A, so we had that video. Lots of things like that. So I'd love to show you the trailer. Can I show you the trailer? Cool. What's that smoking on the table over there exactly? Are we safe? I love that we're having this we're in the Ritz-Carlton, right? They're having a conference about independent film at the Ritz-Carlton where all of us from the independent film world will stay. That's just my little touch.
People call us the Fame High School of the West Coast.
We always want to find that one special student.
It's preparing you to work professionally.
This is just the perfect place to turn my entire life into art.
5, 6, 7, 8. You are auditioning from the second you walk into the room.
If you're late, you're dead.
It was my plan to go here since I was 7.
You got it in. And I was like,
You've got to know how to tell the story about yourself. Who am I?
It's not just about the product as much as it's about the process.
what are you thinking when you give up?
So how do I change this mentality?
It's your head.
I think Zach should be in a combo.
He played well. Great audition. His problem is his dad.
He only practiced 16 hours, so this was a bad week.
There's a certain urgency to make things work.
Who wants to work hard? Who wants to be in what group? Who's going to take charge?
Everyone else is just like me, but better. I really can't imagine a world without art.
I'm just hoping to get into something.
I'm not even going to be considered for anything. If you go in with that attitude, it's going to suck.
He doesn't know what he wants. He's only 14 years old.
I've focused a lot on my music career over school.
I just don't want her not to graduate.
I just don't want to be a disappointing daughter, you know. I feel like I haven't sacrificed enough, and I'm ready to sacrifice more.
What you're going through right now with school and the lack of motivation.
Let's do it.
Are nothing compared to what it takes to be successful as an artist. Nothing.
That's all I want. That's all I need.
This is where it starts.
Anything can happen. It's high school.
How much did you ask for, and how much did you get? How long did it take you to reach the goal?
We did 4 week. We started with 25, asked for 25, and we only got to 28. So clearly, in comparison to my neighbor, I was a complete failure. Just kidding. And I mean, I'm so far from being a Kickstarter expert, being my first time, and you can see we only had 151 backers. So that's the thing I'm hopefully looking forward to with going out the second time would be, can we expand that? Because it really feels like we kind of went to our core family group of people to help us with this, which is obviously a very important piece of it. But I got $10,000 from the Mark Burnett of Indonesia, who I met screening my previous film, The Garden, in Indonesia, and he called me up and he says, "Yeah, I'd like to give you some money for your Kickstarter campaign." I go, "Oh, really? Great. Okay, it's all on the website. Just, what do you want to do?" He goes, "I'd like to give you $10,000. I said, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" I'm bringing breakfast. I'm coming over to your house in Indonesia. And it sort of tips the scales. It's wonderful, but it's like, what is that? I don't know what that means. Does that mean that's a successful Kickstarter campaign? It's a miracle Kickstarter campaign?
Right. Well,
so that's a discussion.
You've carved up the life of the film for audiences, and that's what you've done. You're budgeting out little pieces. So for the next time, you're going to go back with Aim High, but what will it be for? What are you going to?
This is going to be for the P&A and the theatrical. So for marketing and actually booking theaters for the theatrical release. Okay. And we're probably going to go somewhere between 75 and 125 to really get it out there. We've sold the film to Showtime and Netflix, so the investors are paid off. Yay. And now it's about what we're going to do with the remaining rights, which include theatrical and VOD and DVD and digital downloads. So.
I'm wondering if you've ever put that out to bid. I would put that out to bid. There's got to be a company that would help you orchestrate that, because you're right. You've gone through one list. Mm-hmm. You got your friends and family supporters. Mm-hmm. Now $75,000 for P&A. Why can't I? Yeah. Let me just go buy the $750 ticket. Right. I'd love to stay in touch, see what happens, because that's a lot of
I'm interviewing
in those shoes.
Yes, I'm interviewing people right now, and if there's anybody else who has recommendations of people that have successfly run Kickstarter campaigns, I'm reversing it. I'm asking you guys questions. How about that?
Perfect.
And so, if you do, we're doing interviews right now. So.
Perfect. All right. Next, there's another filmmaker to Scott's left. Brick has taken matters into his own hands. He didn't say to me necessarily that location fees would just drive a filmmaker crazy, but he did say the more control, the better. So he took something to Kickstarter that is a fascinating. I thought it was a toy at first, and then when I really looked closer, I realized it was far from that. It's a great learning tool, and he zipped past his goal as well. So, Brick, tell us a little bit about what you do and what this is that you've offered for filmmakers.
All right. So, future filmmakers, maybe, or current filmmakers, I don't know. But this, I've kind of set it up next to me just because I thought it's helpful to see what it is. It's the Tabletop Moviemaking Studio, and it's a little box that opens up into this little theater. And I've kind of got one set up here. And the idea is that you have your backgrounds, your characters, and your settings here. And then I also developed a iPad stand out of cardboard. So one, or I guess it holds an Android tablet as well, so it doesn't. I always say iPad.
Discriminate.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also one that holds a smartphone. But the idea behind all of this is that I've been teaching movie making with younger kids for probably 5 or 6 years, and so I know there's a huge enthusiasm. But I was always looking for a faster way and a more simplified way to kind of introduce the production process and really kind of pair it to the writing process. And it worked well for the last 3 years, and we'd use little cameras, and it was great because they could shoot a movie and edit it. But then when the iPad came out and everything kind of just happened in one location, it forced me to kind of redesign everything and kind of fit it so we could take advantage of this amazing device, and one that's being adopted at a pretty big rate in schools. And kind of the core of that is that there's this amazing device that is mostly used for consumption. It's a great way to read stuff and listen to music or watch a video. But there's a camera on the back of the iPad that doesn't usually get used very often. They'd say it's one of the least used parts of the iPad. So by putting it in a stand and framing it in this device, we're all hardwired to tell a story, and you kind of just, it's amazing. You're kind of just triggered to start figuring out who this character. Oh, I'm sorry, I moved this, but there's 2 characters there, and there's a background, kind of like a Main Street background. But that's the idea, and the Kickstarter campaign was trying to raise the funds to send the box into production, this huge poster that has all of the characters and settings into production, all the bits and pieces. I envied your simplicity of production, because I was like, that's the opposite of what I have. I've just and I'm kind of I feel like a prep chef, and it's not because I'm just kind of always like getting things ready and getting onto the next thing. But it's the response on Kickstarter was amazing, and for me, it was trying to take a concept that was in my head and see if it resonated with an anonymous, enthusiastic public. And an answer was kind of overwhelmingly yes, and that kind of gave me a lot of enthusiasm for trying to figure out ways to put young people in the author's chair and give them an opportunity to take a story that's in their head and use these new devices to shoot a little movie. So that was the whole concept behind Tabletop Moviemaking Studio.
Bravo. All right, we're going to do something we've never done before in any one of my panels, and that is let's start taking questions right now, because all of you made marketing decisions. You all had various levels of incentives like you have to on Kickstarter. Some of those decisions you made by the seat of your pants. Some of them you probably, you're going to think about. Each one of you guys are doing another campaign. Are you going to do another one, Britt?
Yeah, right now I feel like I'm treading water, so I don't really want to invite any more chaos into my life. But I think definitely Kickstarter kind of revealed a whole platform for getting creative ideas out to people. So.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
Clearly needs to do the full scale version.
Any three of you the process a little bit, specifically in relation to feature film.
Sure.
What it means to where you go, how you start it, what are some of the insights we can get into having a successful campaign?
Sure. Not to shorten the answer a little bit, but just because I know our time is going to be tight. Thankfully, there are amazing videos, a lot of amazing videos to answer those things, so I will answer your question, but if I don't get enough, there's some great ones right on Kickstarter's site, and if you search successful Kickstarter campaigns, how to do a successful Kickstarter campaign, how to do a successful Kickstarter campaign video, there's some great advice out there. You'll see past the wacky stuff. Wacky stuff on the internet. So the process was really deciding what the number was, right, what we're going to go for, what did we need, and what we were going to go for. The number of days. Kickstarter has a lot of stats about that 30 days is their consistently most successful. So it's interesting that you doubled that, and you did very well. So go figure. There's not one right answer.
Someone told me to do that.
Yeah, interesting. There you go. Yeah, there's not one right answer for those things. So you really need to do your homework on that. And then it's identifying your core audience. So the good news for this, especially speaking from I think it probably translates across the board, but especially from a filmmaker standpoint, getting a film out to the world, the good news about all the hard work of the Kickstarter campaign is that it's not time wasted at all, right? Because you're building your audience. You're building your core audience. You're building a database of your core audience. You're building a communication with that core audience. around the Kickstarter campaign, but that's going to translate on hopefully to getting them to show up at the movie theater and buying downloads and helping you spread the word about your film. So it's identifying that core audience. Core audience you just can't discount those people too much. We found our core audience to be, there's a lot of them, but our core audience really seems to be girls ages about 10 to 16, maybe all the way to 18 through high school, and their mothers. Now, did we have a bigger audience response than that at these film festivals? Absolutely. But those are the people we believe would like traipse through the snow to go see this film, see it several times, and spread the word. So we really tried to go figure out ways to reach that audience. That list of the ways to reach that audience, as you probably can imagine how many ways we did that. It's searching far and wide for schools like the Performing Arts High School, dance studios, singing studios. I call it from the top down and the bottom up marketing. So you try and go to the largest ones that could go across the country, and then you also go to mom and pop ones in Los Angeles, Pasadena, and things like that. So that's a long answer, but that's a beginning of it. But really, there's some great stuff. There's great stuff out there.
One thing that I'd echo, the process of organizing this campaign on Kickstarter was really helpful and informative, and because it forces you to kind of get everything, exactly how you want to present it to this public, and so it's kind of a rigorous editing process where it's forcing you to take kind of, in my sense, a concept and saying, does this make sense? If I put this out there, is that going to make sense? And then through that process, like this 2-week full-time or whatever it was leading up to it, I was just, once I hit that button that said launch, which was kind of like here we go.
I had that same moment.
Yeah, it's really, I was kind of like,
to push it.
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
But it's like I stepped back and I just looked at this and I was like, if Kickstarter fails, I've developed this wonderful resource to kind of just shift a marketing push somewhere else. So Kickstarter kind of forced me to think through all those decisions in a very active way that I wouldn't have done otherwise if I was just like talking to my friends like, I've got this box idea, and like Kickstarter.
I've never heard anybody say that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That the learning that came out of it, even right before you hit the launch button, made you say, it's okay. I've got enough out of it that I need the money, but whatever happens, I'm going to take this learning with me. That's fantastic.
You have to really dial in your pitch. One other quick thing to that is the amount of, you want to think about what you're going to be, what your prizes are, clearly. That's a lot of work. And again, you can go and look at other projects to get a sense of what those prizes are. With films, there's been a lot of overlap with the prizes, posters, T-shirts, tickets to the screening, which is fine because it's sort of a, I hate the term no-brainer, but it's a given that those would be some of the prizes. But it is good to think about, are there fresh ideas that we can have for prizes? Are there prizes that we can add 5 days into the campaign, halfway through the campaign? And then what is your media to support it? He had that amazing, basically a Mac commercial for your piece, which was really great. And then what are the other pieces that you're going to have? I spoke about some of mine, the trailer, the audience trailer, and different pieces like that. So as much as you can do that work prior, it's going to make it less of a headache. But of course, some of that work is going to be going on during the campaign.
Yes, sir.
Scott,
yes.
How did you raise financing for the production of the documentary, and then why did you use Kickstarter for subsequent steps as opposed to the method you used for the production financing?
That's a good question. What did I raise? All of my films are big catch as catch can, DIY, get it done filmmaking. So I often start off with 0 and start shooting because I want to get the idea started. And then I got, there was $50K from a family foundation. Then there was $35K from a producer in Canada. Then there was another $50K in finishing funds. And there was probably another little bit of development. And we should say, out of respect to Kickstarter and Indiegogo, when we first started, we thought, what do we need the program for? We'll just put it up. We have a website. I'm an Academy Award nominee. There are people out there. Let's put it up there. And we raised over 5 months, we raised $1,000 or something. So there's a plan. Having that plan, having that ticking clock definitely helps. So the why to do the Kickstarter campaign is very simple. I didn't have any more money. Independent documentary filmmaking. Go. It's awesome.
And not hiding behind the fact that that's every person's experience.
Sure.
It's no mystery, right? The challenge is, I was impressed that the film was done and you took it out, and you're going to go back again.
Sure.
The next story, what a case study it's going to be when, you're not using it for production financing for every other dollar you need, and you need a lot of dollars.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple. We needed more money, and this is, I use the term, a slightly more elegant way of begging, as you said. That this has given us a little bit more of a better way than writing those cover letters and calling people. You still have to do that, but it's given it a little bit of a sense. Did anybody see, a quick story. Anybody see the New Yorker cartoon where the guys are in the jail courtyard and they're sitting at a table, all these three tough guys in prison? And one guy says to the other two, he's like, hey guys, thanks to our Kickstarter campaign, we're going to build a tunnel.
Back in the back, straight back.
You have your 151 up there, but we know one person donated $10,000. So then, if you take the 150 for the remaining 18,000.
Yeah.
How did that kind of group? Did you get a few big investors and then smaller ones? And then, just real quickly, what were the incentives that you offered that you would suggest?
Sure.
Maybe what's unique that you offered that maybe someone else hasn't?
Sure. Well, thankfully, all of that's broken down right on that page that you can go to at any time. It's there for life, isn't it? Is that what the interweb is going to do for us? So you can see all of that instead of me trying to list all of it off for you. Unique prizes was tough. Because I had performing arts, it was going to the source of the film. So Grace, one of the dancers, Brittany, a singer, I offered basically one-on-one consultations with them. I didn't ask them. I just offered it. Sorry, I did. So that was something that was unique. It's like going to the source. I'd be interested to hear what my co-panelists did to try and break from that. But using your subject matter is going to be a key place. What within your subject matter can you use that's going to be a unique prize? And again, something that's going to be attractive to your core audience. In terms of the success of that, I would think the smaller prizes were probably the most successful in terms of a poster or guaranteed tickets to a screening and things like that. If you can get that at a price point that's attractive, there can be a lot of success there. But as I said, you pointed out, I had I had 10K with one person. So is that a success, or did I pull did I rub off and win a lottery? What's the lottery prize? Bounce? It wasn't even a check. He transferred that stuff right from Indo. Right there. He transferred it right from Indonesia. It was awesome.
Filmmakers have it difficult because that's what I love about the distinction between the three. So you've got a product that as an incentive. People are caught up in the hype and how excited it is. It looks like it's a Mac commercial. I want to give you the money, and they realize that they've covered its cost, right? So you've got a product that everybody's going to be more eager right out of the gate to give you more than they would even have to pay for it. That's fantastic. Brick, in your case, your incentives, because you've built up this tremendous amount of content on a affiliate or sister website, you've got incentives that include really just tools and content and videos and instructional videos to really show people how to use it, right?
Yeah, so the idea, I try to keep my rewards simple and just focused on the actual kit. Initially, I thought about, really going granular and trying to make it, tons of different offers and here and that and this and I just ultimately said for $50 one kit, $90 two kits, and then I kept it very simple. But yeah, the idea was that I'd spent about 5 years doing this with another type of form factor, and I had a lot of tutorials and hundreds of hours of kind of support, so that people could see that I was kind of around and had some kind of a track record, that I'd worked with a number of different nonprofits in LA and South America and Europe, and I'd kind of been doing this, and so people, I think the Kickstarter kind of brought it all together, and my goal was I'm probably going to spend 3 or 4 minutes on this site. And I have to kind of compel them that while I am kind of this goofy, enthusiastic kind of tinkerer person, that I actually have this ability to kind of follow through with what I'm presenting, and I've done this before, and that there's kind of this, it's connected to literacy and creativity. And it really resonated with a lot of parents. I got a lot of feedback from parents who were looking for a creative tool to have their kids kind of
Yeah, that's
tinker.
totally, it's the first thing that I was thinking. Yes, ma'am, you were up next.
I had done a bit of studying on this, and just a bit, maybe you can enlighten me some more, that you were supposed to build up your audience as far as your people that you know through Facebook, et cetera, before you launch. Can you give us some insights on how you did that, all three of you?
Yeah, I can step into that one. Basically, there's a lot of advice out there about building your audience before you launch and just doing this big blitz right when you launch and contacting everyone and telling them to come over. It is true that it's better to do it right when you launch, because what happens is when you first launch your project, when you push that button that took some of us some courage to go and push, your project goes live, but it's actually goes live on a new projects page on Kickstarter. So a lot of traffic goes to that project right then, but that fades out very quickly, because there's a ton of project launching every day. I don't know if it's hundreds or thousands. It's really at this point of Kickstarter's life, it's very, very fast. And so you don't stay on top of that page very long. So if you can combine that boost, which are people you don't know basically randomly browsing Kickstarter and seeing your project, with people you do know, then you get the maximum boost to get your project noticed. If you get your project noticed, you get another kind of ranking boost by, I don't know how their algorithm works, and probably nobody knows, and they hide it pretty well. But if you get enough noticed, your project ends up on I don't know if it's called hot projects or
projects we like. That's different.
There's like on the homepage,
Popular now or something like that.
Yeah, or you can end up at the top of your category, and then maybe on the homepage. But in any case, based on how much interest you generate, you can get boosted up, and that's, part of why my project started so well is because I had the luck of, I guess, enough people seeing it on the top of that new projects page, combined with some. I had contacted a blogger that I knew who posted something right when the project started. So there were, and plus the Facebook friends and whatnot. So there was like kind of the perfect storm of people seeing it, which elevated the project to the top of its category, and then on the top of the on the homepage as well. And that got it off to a good start.
You just remind me of something, because you have a number of apps that are widely popular and circulated far and wide. Did you take the opportunity to did you push any free updates and mention this product or Kickstarter campaigin?
I could have done a better job at that. I didn't really use that. What I did use is...
I looked. I got your alarm clock. Whatever. It's the first way. This guy's been doing this for a little while. You probably have one or two. It's very basic utilitarian apps.
I didn't use that, but what I did use is, through making those apps, I had some contacts with bloggers who've written about the apps before. Right. So I just hit them and said, I've got this product coming out that's iPad related. Do you want to write about it? And a couple of close ones, they kind of became friends over time, those bloggers, and they said, yeah, sure, I'll post something when it comes out. And the posts were pretty enthusiastic, and again, it's the combination of that plus being on this new projects page and visible. I think there's just a bunch of audience that just kind of contributed to getting the project boosted up to the next level. And it feeds itself. Once you get to the top of your category, then other bloggers notice it and they post about it, and it's kind of this virtuous cycle that starts happening. So that's why you really want to focus on that first day or 2 days. The other thing I want to mention is, if you look at the funding curves, there's this site that actually tracks funding for Kickstarter projects. Do you know what it's called?
I thought it had it right on Kickstarter.
Well, the analytics have it inside the Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, well, that you can see, but you can see other projects' funding curves as well.
That's interesting.
How I forget what it's called. I'll have to research.
Is that a third-party site?
Yeah, it's a third-party site that tracks that. And you can see that there's a big boost typically when your project first goes live. Yeah. And it's pretty exciting. And as a project owner, you tend to think, oh, it's going to keep going. Like, you see that curve, and you're just projecting it out, and you're like, wow, $5 million, pretty cool.
In 24 hours.
Yeah, I know. And then you start seeing it plateau, and that's very typical. You know it the second time around, but and then at the end you get another boost. And that's probably why they recommend to keep your project to 30 days instead of 60, because not much happens in the middle. Unless you kind of somehow find, you breathe some life into it by the press or other means. But those are the 2 points really, the beginning and the end.
So slow. We opened so slowly, and but it is the, nobody wants to come to the dance until, I don't know what the damn metaphor I was going for there, but it's about asking somebody to dance, and then once you get asked, you could get lots of people asking you to dance.
How wide was the net, Scott? Do you remember? Like in ballpark figures, like 5,000, 4,000, 2,000? How many
people we reached?
Yeah, that you push out to? Do you think?
Oh God, I don't know actually.
Because if it's thousands and you had 151 backers, then you haven't burned out that list. They just weren't ready. Now, next time they're ready, right?
I don't think we've touched in terms of that. I mean, I talked all about this core audience thing. I think we barely scratched the surface of that core audience. So now we can come back with part of anybody want to hear a 2-second thing on how you qualify a documentary for Oscar consideration? Does that interest anybody? Okay,
2
quickly.
seconds. Good.
1, 2. All right. You have to play the film for a week in Los Angeles and New York. And now a new rule is you have to get a review in either the New York Times or the LA Times. Kenneth Saran of the LA Times has been very kind to me in my first 2 films, so I chose the LA Times. Imagine that. And so now we have that, and he gave us a very nice review for Fame High as well. So now we have that review to use, and we actually did quite well our little box office in Pasadena because I chose that place as the one theater to qualify in LA because I knew it's close to Loxa and a lot of families live there. So we have new pieces to use as part of that marketing.
Right.
So.
Perfect. Yes, ma'am.
When you're product-oriented, are you afraid of your ideas getting stolen?
Yes.
Sure.
Great question. Great question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. First, I want to add that it's kind of unfair in terms of the amount raised. I think, and I haven't done the film side of Kickstarter, but I think I think with a product, people don't really perceive like they're backing a product. They are to some extent, but I think they really perceive that they're pre-ordering a product. And in that respect, people really feel like they're buying something, and I think they're more enthusiastic about backing product projects, or they're more comfortable giving money because they're getting this physical object back. Whereas, with the film, I think it's more from the heart, and they just want something to succeed, and it's just harder to make people do that. So I just give you the credit for that.
So how'd you protect the IP?
So the IP, so I've got 2 products now. I mean, you've seen the second one. What I do is before Kickstarter, I managed to file a provisional patent. And even though I know a little bit about filing patents, I've been working with lawyers to do that. So
Good
there's
move.
What does it cost?
Provisional, it will cost you anywhere from $400 to $2,000, depending on how many hours of attorney time and everything. But and it's better if you can file a utility patent as opposed to a design patent, because a design patent is easier to get around. Some products, though, you can't. There's just not much utility to file. So
yeah, if you have a product, call up patent lawyers, do some searches, find local guys, talk to at least 3 people, go see them face to face, let them tell you how the whole thing works. There'll be some discrepancies in how they talk about the process, but if it's interesting enough, it's good enough, they'll help you out. They will figure out how to help you.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
The previous conversation regarding investor relations and going from a bulk sum of money from a large investor, then saying to that investor in that group, and I'm not sure whether you on the panel have board of advisors and everybody that's involved in your company as far as the identification of this concern, but when you said, I'm going to Kickstarter because I need some money, or was there, basically I was thinking about going to Kickstarter for extra cash because I didn't want to have to give away equity in my company for the $500,000.
Sure, that's right.
And the amount of equity the VCs and the top shelf angels want, I'm willing to give away if I have to. But I thought Kickstarter, when I first came about, was an amazing program. I thought, well, if I could raise $500,000 and I don't have to give away that 3, 4, 10%, then I'm going to do it. And then also I have loyalty, and then I've gained relations with end users. I thought this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I presented it to my board, and I said, this is what I want to do. And
There's no. What's the downside to them?
Well, okay, that's what I thought. So I'm wondering if you experienced the same thing. They all said, well, I'm really sorry, but now you look like you're, because I have
A nonprofit.
very high level people involved, and
Yeah.
they're really wealthy, and they're like, no, and I'm like, well, then give me more money. They're like, well, we want to see you prove.
Don't be crazy. Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And I said, well, then I'm going to go do Kickstarter so that I can. They go, well, you don't need to do that. You need to stick with the plan. I said, well, so what they shunned upon me, they said, well, now it looks like you're dating and that we're not.
Rich people don't.
And I was like, so I just say, well, you guys have already invested. You're not giving me any more money. I'm going to do this. Take the balls and just kind of piss them all off and do it. Because I wanted to give away, Steven Tyler was going to in music, and I was going to give away tickets to a private concert with Steven Tyler.
Nice.
Pledges and backstage passes.
Yeah.
But we'll know we're at this level.
So now I have an answer for that.
Please.
Because I was advising a company last year who was off, the CEO was reticent to do Kickstarter. I thought that was a perfect match. And I had an opportunity last week to ask Randy Commissar over at Kleiner Perkins Hoff of Bauer. You don't get a better investor than that group, and Randy. And he actually had said on the panel that he likes it when a company actually goes out and uses Kickstarter because they're showing traction, they're showing initiative, and they're showing the market and improving it, right? Or Indiegogo.
Stand up, Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Important insight, because one of the things I've seen is that CEOs often reticent to do that because they're worried about the next round, A round, and how it's going to be proceeding.
But that was an objective outsider. She's got insiders and deal points that she's got to pay attention to. So,
They were concerned that if we did this,
yeah, of course.
they said, what are the liabilities of all these people?
Have them call Randy Commissar.
And just one last little point. They didn't have any legal foundation to stop you, though, did they?
No, they didn't.
It would just have been nice.
I challenge that. I bet they did.
You think? To be able
She's the CEO. Are you the CEO?
Yes. But they also were uneducated regarding, and I know I'm the decision maker, but I also have to report to a lot of people. So.
Yeah.
But what they did say is that, well, if we bring in, if you get 5,000 people that are pledging so much money to raise that, $500,000 in that many days, and what do we owe them, and are they going to own? What are they owning? I'm like, they're not owning anything.
Right.
I had to sit there and explain to these.
Yeah, your IP lawyer should have stepped in and explained to them how it works.
You can't. That's psychological. That's psychological. You can't.
Let's hear from Indiegogo. Go ahead. What's up, Adam?
Well, I got a whole stump speech on this, so one for your seatbelt, but I won't give it to you. I mean, I'm Adam, one of the principals of Indiegogo. So begging, it's a common misconception in crowdfunding for Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever. People think crowdfunding is panhandling.
Right.
And crowdfunding is absolutely not panhandling. And if you're conducting it like it's panhandling, you will fail. Because obviously people's first inclination when anyone comes up and says, can I have some money, is no. Because here it is.
Sure.
Psychologically, it's already been, that's a proven psychological study.
Yeah.
The point is, what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is unlocking a lot of things that have never been available before, right? So it's a new layer of commerce that breaks a rigid pricing system, for example. In other words, most pricing systems for any kind of commodity or service is binary. Do you want it or don't you want it? Yes, no. If you want it, you pay the service fee or the price. $10 for a movie ticket, $50 for your desktop
studio.
Studio.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the problem with that is, to use a movie as an example, is if there's a guy who goes to the theater and wants to see Avengers, and it's sold out, and your movie's playing at the same time, and he's like, what the hell, see it. That's $10. You get $10, right?
Yeah.
He's hardly a fan, but he's a consumer, right? But if there's someone who loves The Garden, loves, what's your other,
OTR Town.
Loves your film,
Yes.
which I love too.
OTR Town. Thank you.
Awesome film.
Thanks, Adam.
And has been dying and waiting for your film to come out, sleeps out overnight for a ticket, buys the ticket, he pays $10. You only get $10.
Right.
So what crowdfunding does is it allows you to monetize your audience, monetize your consumer base based on their passion to be involved with you in the process. So in the same example, use the film, you can have someone who just, I want to see Avengers, but I guess I got your film. You'll still get $10 out of that guy because he'll see your film. But for the person who's a huge fan of you, you can engage them in, you can give them a perk where if you give them, all right, $10 each maybe they'll see the film and they'll get a deleted scene, right? I don't know what your perks were on Kickstarter.
Sure.
You know, $60 is the T-shirt. $500 you get a conversation with Scott. You know, it's people who are very passionate get to trade what they want to, which is money, for more involvement with your project.
Right.
So, but to your question about, you know, when you're talking to investors who are concerned about how will it seem, you know, what will it look like, we're begging for money, this is actually an audience engagement tool. Total audience engagement. The money is the byproduct. It's great, but this is a way that you can engage people who, I don't know what your business is, doesn't even matter, but whatever it is, you can engage your target market in becoming evangelists for whatever it is that you do on a sliding scale based on their passion for what it is that you do. And, oh yeah, you also get money. But at the end of the day, you're getting the money from your marketplace.
Right.
So you have consumers, and then you also have proof of concept.
And the way you engage them first is by getting Adam's card and engaging Indiegogo as a consultant. That's who you need. That's who needs to talk to the board. You don't. You're the CEO. You make the decision. You find who needs to do the work and bring him in. Right. That last question, and then I want to show. We got to see one of a project that's been sent in.
We're also the video you're going to say is also consideration as well. It's made by 9-year-olds over in Echo Park.
Oh, that's good. Good. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe one. Yes, you back there. Sorry. Yes. It's all in the pitch, man. That's the story.
Yeah,
if you're a filmmaker, you got to rewrite that script that you just presented to us, and following Adam's suggestion, honestly, because that's I believe he's right. If you're going out begging, nobody wants that. You're a filmmaker. You just got a film school. They want to be excited. They want to see your excitement. You got a story to tell, and it doesn't matter if they join you or not because you're moving, and that's what's going to attract them, right? I want you all to stay here, because we had another great panel coming on shortly. And this is a great topic, and these same questions come up with every panel.
Adam's on the next panel.
And Adam's going to be here. So you know what? You better bum rush him now when we finish. Let's have one 9-year-old clip to close it out, and then...
let's see. Yeah, let's watch Jimmy the Clown. That one's good.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy the Clown.
This is made at the Hammer Museum in 2 hours.
Well, after a long day of work, I have to come home and work again. Oh, that was so frustrating. I'm finally done. Time to go to UCLA. Hi, kids. I'm Jimmy the Clown. Most people think that UCLA stands for University of California, Los Angeles, but it really stands for...
Go.
Unified Clowns, Los Angeles. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make balloon animals. First, choose your color of choice, blue or red.
Go.
Well, I'm not going to get into the details about how to make it, but this is what it ends up looking like. Make sure to feed your balloon animals, or they'll get cranky. What?
Set. Go.
The most important part about being a clown is choosing pie or cake to go on your face. I prefer cake because it's better for my skin. So, are there any questions?
I thought this was geography.
Where's our real t-shirt?
So there you go.